In this lesson, you are going to learn how to write ionic compound formulas from given names. There are two steps. The first step is to write the formula for cations and anions. Here I have some common ions on the periodic table, as well as the polyatomic ions given to you over here. So these are polyatomic ions, okay? And these are the monoatomic ions on your periodic table. So here we have copper. What is copper 2? Going back here, the Roman numeral indicates the number of positive charge, so you don't have to look at the periodic table at all. You know that this copper has a 2+, so we have Cu2+, okay? Then chloride is coming from chlorine. Here we have chloride right there. It is Cl1-. So step 1 is done. What is step 2? Step 2, we're going to use something called the crisscross, okay? That means we're going to crisscross down the number method, and this method is helping you to balance out the negative and the positive charge, because all compounds need to have a net charge of 0 or neutral. So here we're going to crisscross. Use that number right there, number 1. We're going to carry it down, and that number 1 going to represent how many copper we're going to have. In this case 1, so we have copper Cu1. And over here, that 2, we're going to crisscross and carry down to represent how many chlorine you're going to have. In this case, we're going to have Cl2. But when we have the 1, we don't have to write it, but you can write it like this. We can have CuCl2 as your final answer. And if we continue, we have aluminum sulfide. Aluminum on the periodic table is Al3+, sulfide from sulfur right here, S2-, and we're going to crisscross down, carry the number, okay? So now we have Al2 and the 3 going to crisscross down. That tells you there are 2 sulfur. Awesome. Here we have calcium phosphate. Calcium is coming from the periodic table, has 2+ right there. And phosphate is a polyatomic ions, is right here, which is PO4 3-, PO4 3-. So we're going to crisscross. Of course, we're going to have Ca3, because that 3 right there. And this 2 right here, going to carry down to represent there are 2 phosphate. Because phosphate is a polyatomic ions, there's more than one atom, we have to use parentheses to group it together as a unit. So we have this as our final answer. And here we have the last one, ammonium sulfate. Ammonium is NH4 1+, and here we have sulfate right here. It is SO4 2-, and we're going to crisscross. That tells you there are going to be 2 of NH4, so we have to use parentheses NH4 2, and there's a 1 right there. We're going to crisscross to represent there are only 1 sulfate. If you want to use parentheses, we're going to make it easier. So SO4 1, but we don't write the 1, so we're going to have our final answer as NH4 2 SO4. Because we do not write the 1, if the 1 does not exist there, we're going to remove the parentheses as well. So this is how you write ionic compound formulas from the given names.